Raw review for the December 2nd episode of Raw. I'm Will, that's Brandon. We are the Cousins of Destruction Wrestling Podcast. As always, let's cheers. Talk about some wrestling, huh?
What a great Raw. As some of you may know, we did our first ever live watch-along on Twitch. Some of you guys stopped by. Thank you for that. But honestly, couldn't really ask for a better Raw to kind of have that first watch-along with.
Yeah, dude, they did a commercial-free first hour, and boy, it sprinted. So we started off big with CM Punk, who's walking through the back of the arena, and he meets up with Jey Uso and Sami Zayn, two guys who he just won a War Games match with just a couple nights ago at Survivor Series. And they're all buddy-buddy, shaking hands, everything, and he heads to the ring. And when he gets to the ring, he says, last time I was here, I didn't know about my future. I just tore my body apart in a Hell in a Cell, and I didn't have a clue what was next for myself. But now I stand here after War Games, and my future is clear. And he gets up on the turnbuckle, and he starts pointing to nothing. And we're like, what the hell is this man doing?
Yeah, it's dark on that side of the arena. That side of the arena is not even really lit at that point.
He goes, you guys don't see it, but I see it. And of course, what he was meaning was WrestleMania. And he said there's a lot of roads, a lot of paths that he can take to get there. He says there's the Elimination Chamber, there's the Royal Rumble, and he has a couple favors that he can call in at any time. So he nods to that.
And I think he also said at one point, there are multiple ways to finish a story.
Yeah.
So a lot of hints there kind of dropped in. A lot of ways you can really take that promo.
Yeah, a lot of ways there. But, of course, Mr. Seth Rollins has to show up because that man hates CM Punk more than anybody. He shows up and he gets in the ring and he says, a year ago, I should have done it. Should have ended you. I had my chance. But I had other priorities. I had a title, and then I had a bloodline to defeat. And then last time I saw you, you were standing in the middle of the ring after Hell in a Cell, and you were literally broken, and I had pity for you. I should not have had pity for you. I look at that as regrets now. He goes, now I'm going to come after you, so let's basically go after this. Let's do it. And CM Punk kind of welcomes the idea. He kind of steps up to the plate, and he's like, well, if we're going to do this, come at me. And they start fighting at each other. They start pushing each other. Well, Seth Rollins gives him a shove.
Well, yeah, and right before that, Punk kind of goes into basically Punk says, I'm better than that.
Yeah.
Punk basically says, you are not really what I'm worried about. I'm on this trajectory, and you're not on my path. Basically.
He says, you're in the past. I don't think about you at all. That's basically what Punk says. You're right. He says, I don't think about you at all. You're off my brain. And when that happens, they start pushing and shoving. And Jey Uso and Sami Zayn, who he was just buddies with, they come out and they split them both up. Jey splits Punk, Sami splits Roman or Seth Rollins, and Jey and Punk kind of leave the ring. Adam Pearce comes out and they do scuffle again for a minute, but Seth starts yelling at everybody. Seth's, he's yelling at absolutely everybody, and then he drops a line. He goes, what does he yell? He goes, you are run away, Punk. Run away, Jey. Hell, run back to Roman like you always do. And Sami goes, at this point, Sami's pissed. He's like, hey, man, you don't talk to Jey like that. Like, you're boys. Don't talk to Jey like that. And Seth goes, you're right. That's my bad. I shouldn't be yelling at Jey because he's actually Roman's family, so it makes sense. What about you, Sami? And Sami's like, uh-oh, that's a pretty good point. If your family, and Seth continues and goes, if you're family with Roman, then you ain't family with me. Sami, we should be family. We are family. We've been doing this together for 20 years. You have stabbed me in the back. And Sami said, I didn't have a choice with teaming with Punk or Roman. It was just kind of what we do in that moment. I had to fight the bloodline. And also, Punk was our last guy. You know why Punk was our last guy? Because you kept saying no. You were being stubborn, is what he said. You're too damn stubborn. And Seth goes, wait. Remind me, why wouldn't I team with you again? Oh, yeah, because it was with Roman Reigns. He's never going to change. He's a backstabbing. He says all the bad stuff about Roman. And Sami goes, and Seth ends by calling Roman a monster. He's the same monster he's always been. And that's when Sami goes, oh, monster? He's a monster you created 10 years ago when you hit him in the back with a steel chair. And then the whole crowd's going, oh, are you right, Sami? And then Seth Rollins comes back and he's like, oh, yeah. I did do that. I've apologized about it. It was a decade ago. And, oh, by the way, you did that to Roman 2 years ago. You hit him in the back with a chair, too. And I understand you for doing that. I get it. But we're one and the same in this aspect of stuff. And then the crowd was like, oh, man, that's a good call, Seth. You did do that. Seth goes, I understand why you were doing this. you were justified in doing that, hitting Roman with the chair. It made sense because you were going up against the bloodline. But now it makes no sense for you to be back because he's apologized to no one. He hasn't changed. If anything, right now, you're naive. You are stupid. And that's when Sammy looks at Rollins and goes, you know what? I feel like you want to blow off some steam. You want to blow off some steam? We're in a wrestling ring. How about we go one-on-one tonight? And Rollins says, fine by me. And that ends. What a start to Raw that was, man. This was passionate. This was amazing. Popping it.
Yeah, we're about 30 minutes into this episode of Raw. I mean, they talked about the commercial free for 30 minutes, an hour, whatever it was. But, God, this first 30 minutes, it flew by. And it's kind of a tale of two different, I guess, promos into one. Because you've got the Punk Rollins one in the first half, which was fantastic. I thought it was really nice the way the Punk's kind of like, you're in the past. Like, I don't really care. I thought that was really nice because at this point, like, yeah, he kind of almost seems higher than Seth Rollins at this point right now. And then you have the second part where Rollins goes after Jey and Sammy, and then, you know, I found myself going back and forth like, oh, well, Seth's being mean. Like, Seth's saying all these things. He's being an ass. And go, Sammy, you know. And I'm sitting there like, man, I'm really cheering for Sami Zayn right here. But Sammy's right. And then I'm like, oh, no, wait, Seth's right. Just fantastic stuff. Like, I got to pop this as well. It really, I think we talked about it when it was happening live. Like, the promos recently have been so good because they're all just like, they're not, hey, go out, hit. They might be bullet pointed, but you can tell these guys are much more passionate. They're giving a lot of much more freedom, I think, to be, hey, go out there, make sure you talk about this, and say whatever you really want to say, and speak truth, speak facts about everything. And it really comes across because the promos as of late have been fantastic.
Yeah, we've said it a couple of times in the past few weeks. They're just, everything's based in logic now. And this long-term storytelling of, you know, I'll give it to Triple H, it's the Polidek era. You know, I give it to him. Like, this long-term storytelling that he's been booking, it keeps paying off in dividends. Because it's like you said, this was a Punk versus Seth promo. It set up the longest rivalry that we probably have in wrestling because they've hated each other ever since Punk left, right? Like, that they had their own beef, non-kayfabe, like shoot beef in real life while Punk was gone forever. And so we continue that. And then the second that's done, it's like, well, Seth is adding back into his Roman beef, which is the longest kayfabe rivalry in all of what wrestling. And he is pointing, I mean, Roman's gone, yet these are bloodline beats being hit because he's pointing out that, like, he still hasn't apologized. Like, so this guy who's not a part of the bloodline story anymore is sitting here like, no, this guy hasn't apologized. I don't know why you're doing this. All this other stuff that's happening doesn't make any sense. It's just, you can't beat that kind of promo. You can't beat that kind of logic. It just adds so much to the story, and it makes wrestling feel like an actual lived in world, like a universe where it's not just like 3 month, I'm forgetting the word, programs, 3 month programs after 3 months program. This feels like a world that they live in, and things matter, and things get brought up from the past and all that stuff. So
yeah, and it's interesting that he goes after Jey when Jey didn't really do anything wrong, and then he goes after Sammy. But like you said, the bloodline beats I thought were really interesting because I think a lot of us, or at least myself, I've always thought Punk versus Rollins was going to be the Mania match of some way, somehow they get there. And then you have Roman Seth stuff. I don't know when that's going to happen.
Yeah.
Just forever down the line, probably. But he touches on it that it's like Roman hasn't even apologized. So it's like, well, now you have to have Jey and Sammy kind of go back and be like, yeah, this guy is right. Like, you haven't apologized. Are you going to apologize? So it's like, the fluidity all throughout this was just fantastic.
Really good stuff. But then we'll continue on. Judgment Day is backstage, and Liv is Liv brings up the fact that, like, hey, Finn, you kind of said you were going to stay away with Damian. You were done with that stuff. And and Finn looks at Liv and is like, yeah, I was done with Damian until Dom didn't do his job. And Liv kind of gives him this eye. And before Liv can talk again, Finn goes, and you and Raquel would have done your job in War Games if you would have listened to me too. So what's the message here? When we listen to Finn, we're a happy family. And he wants to go off and go after Gunther or something now because Damian Priest is now hurt with his shoulder. And when he walks away, Liv looks at Dom and goes, can you watch after him tonight? Look over Finn tonight. And they kind of go off with, or Dom goes off with Finn here. But very clear set in stone here. On one side of the screen was Liv, Dom, Raquel. The other side was Carlito, JD, and Finn. So seeds are being planted there.
Yeah, pretty set in stone. Again, we have confirmation that Finn wants to continue to be the leader of the no leaders that he likes to say, but he does want to be the leader. And, he kind of snaps at Liv, and you can kind of see it on Liv at first. She's like, well, don't talk to me that way.
Yeah.
But, she doesn't say anything. She just kind of lets it slide this time. But her sending Dom with him, it's like, okay, let's send these two that are kind of troubled past together, or at least as of late, I should say. Send them together. Let's see what happens. And find out later in the night why.
Yeah. We get our match, though, with Liv and Raquel. They're taking on Damage Control tonight because, obviously, Liv and Io are going at it at Saturday night's main event now. So that's only a couple weeks out.
Yeah, week from Saturday.
Jesus. Anyway, Raquel starts out immediately great. She's high-booting Io and Kyrie, making herself look really strong. They go out, but Kyrie Sane would do a apron stomp on the outside to kind of even the odds, and then Io and Liv would actually get some time in the ring together through the middle. This is a part of their 1 hour commercial free stuff, and this match was moving, and it was good because of it. They really got a lot of good beats in here, but when Io was in, she really was dominating. She would do her apron leg drop, she would do her Meteora, she would do her missile drop kick on everything. There'd be an insane elbow that would eventually get hit on Raquel, and we're sitting there like, no. 1, 2, ooh, Liv breaks that one up. But it would eventually happen where Io would go and try to do a suicide bomb to Liv to take out Liv, and that would kind of take them both out for the rest of the match, because at that point, Kairi Sane kind of had the advantage on Raquel, but Raquel would then just kind of hulk up. She would hit her Tana bomb, whatever you call it, and pin Kairi Sane. 1, 2, 3. Liv and Raquel win here. But Liv and Raquel start attacking Io, which means what? When Liv and Raquel are in the ring getting the advantage of somebody, it's the button. Dink, it's the big purple and black button in the middle of the table. But bing, this is my brutality. Freaking Rhea runs out there and she starts attacking Raquel because Liv leaves and Raquel wants to be bodyguard. And she headbutts Raquel, and Raquel gets clotheslined outside of the ring, and she starts smashing Raquel's face against the announce table, but Liv jumps on her, and then when Liv jumps on her bag, Rhea backs up into the post, hitting Liv off, but then Raquel comes over and takes Rhea Ripley and throws her into the corner of the announce table, right into that eye that is hurt for Rhea Ripley, and Liv and Raquel stand very tall here. Before we get into what that eventually found out of the night, I'm going to rate this off of that real quick. I did think this was all fun in terms of the match was quick, fun, did its job in terms of Io looking good. Raquel finally looks like a decent bodyguard for once during that match. Then afterwards, she was able to get the best of Rhea, which is what we want to see. So I'm going to pop it. I'm going to pop that boy.
Yeah, I'm going to pop it as well. Obviously, you have Damage Control, who they don't really have any bad matches. You have them versus Liv and Raquel, looking for some momentum out of War Games here. And it's kind of how do they find their footing? I thought it was really important to establish Raquel here, which they did. I mean, we've been asking for that since Raquel has come back. As when do we get to really take her seriously? I thought this was kind of the first step of seeing that. We got to see it a little bit during War Games, not a lot. So I thought this was important. So she really kind of stepped up to the plate, and she actually showed her muscle. So yeah, I was like, okay, cool. I'm impressed. Her, even, if you go right after the match, Rhea coming out, Rhea does eventually kind of get the upper hand at the beginning.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh no, not again. Let's not do this again. But to her credit, Raquel steps up to the plate and she becomes that bodyguard.
So Raquel finally does her job and takes out Rhea here. She throws her against the announce table, and it looks like we're really going to establish Rhea as being injured here. That was the point. But we get a fight next week between Rhea and Raquel Rodriguez. What do we think about that in terms of Rhea just kind of being able to get through any injury here? And, what do we think the outcome is going to be for that?
Yeah, initially, right off the bat, even right now, thinking about it, I'm still you can't keep her off for a week or 2 weeks. So I would have liked that to happen. I would have liked that to be the case. I do think Rhea's going to wear some sort of mask. You're kind of building Raquel up. So I would expect to see kind of a vicious side of Raquel too. Again, kind of continue to attack that orbital bone and kind of keep going after it to see if she can really get Rhea out for a while.
Yeah, I was hoping that Rhea was going to be written off after this, not because of anything against Rhea, but just it would have given us a little breather in terms of letting Liv and Io kind of shine in their small 2-week feud here. I think that Rhea is going to get involved with Raquel, which is fine, but I just hope it doesn't bleed over into what should be a great match for Io. Io and Liv should put on a great match. I'm just a little bit hesitant there, but um, yeah, we all thought this was going to happen at some point. So let's get a good match at Raw, and that'll be that.
Yeah, I'm gonna take it one step further. I'm gonna try to be even more positive. I agree 100% with what you're saying. I'm thinking maybe Raquel does more damage next week, and maybe next week is where we get that kind of send off for a little bit, and then you can have it to where Rhea comes back and she goes after Raquel right away because you can still build that buffer.
Yeah.
I think it is important to really kind of give us a little bit of a break from the Liv Rhea stuff. None of us think it's going to end anytime soon, but maybe don't harp on it as much. Have that really big divider with Raquel. Have those two go at it. Liv can kind of, I don't know, feud with whoever she kind of wants to. And then you have her beat Raquel, and then eventually you get that rhythm.
Yeah, perfect. I agree. We would have Kathy Kelly interviewing Gunther, and Finn shows up right away, and Finn's like, dude, you owe me a title match because I have saved your butt twice against Damian Priest. And Gunther responds by saying, no, I'm actually pissed at you that you got involved. I wanted to win that match clean. I needed to win that match clean for myself. And Finn goes, well, that should give me more reason for you to hate me and want to give me a title match. And Gunther goes, no. But that guy right there, he beat Damian a couple weeks ago, points to Dom and says, you know what, you deserve something. I want to go talk to Adam Pearce. He ends up going to set up a Dom versus Gunther match for later tonight. And I was like, this is prime. Thank you.
Yeah, exactly how it should be. I mean, Dom should be getting these chances. We've been asking for more.
I think,
Dom, boom.
If you ask me, Gunther should have to vacate the title to Dom Mysterio, but that's that. We would get our first round of the women's IC title tournament. We have Dakota Kai taking on Shayna Baszler and Katana Chance here. And this was the last stretch of our 1 hour commercial free. And so they were sprinting as well, man. But Dakota Kai would get hot early. She would go for a suicide dive, though, on Shayna Baszler. And Shayna would catch her, throw her into the announce table. And then Katana Chance would suicide dive into Shayna Baszler. And she would get to be tall going into the side-by-side commercial, right? It was the picture-in-picture.
Yeah, a lot of picture-in-picture tonight.
Yeah, I don't like that. But Baszler dominated the entire picture-in-picture here. Kai would eventually get like her version of a haluva kickoff, and then she'd on to Shayna Baszler. Shayna Baszler would like roll into the ropes. Dakota Kai would stomp her. 1, 2, ooh there. Katana Chance would do a top rope Hurricane Rana to Dakota Kai and send her on top of Shayna Baszler. So Katana Chance is athletic as always. She's looking great, but there was a point where Dakota Kai would DDT Chance. She would roll out of the ring, and Baszler would go for a roll up, 1, 2, ooh, and then Dakota Kai would answer that with a Pele kick, and she would try to get Baszler up into a finishing move, but Baszler would reverse that into a chokehold, and you see Katana Chance getting up to the top rope, and before she can jump, Dakota Kai kicks herself up to where she's out of the way of whatever move Katana Chance is about to do. Katana Chance has a 450 splash on to Shayna Baszler. Kai goes to get Katana Chance, gets her finisher on Chance. 1, 2, 3, Dakota Kai wins this. That's what you should be doing here. Great little triple threat match. The right person won. Can't complain about that one. I gotta pop it.
Yeah, I thought this first hour of Raw, I thought it was as close to as perfect as you can really be.
Yeah, me too.
I thought this triple threat match was fantastic. Usually I don't like them. I've said that 1,000 times. I'll continue to probably keep saying them. But when they're fast paced like this, everybody gets a little bit of shine. Everybody came out of this looking good. Shayna Baszler doesn't take the pin. Shout out PFC.
PFC, baby.
They're on the rise.
Even when you don't get pinned, you still lose.
Watch out. She's on the rise.
At least you get it, bro.
The right person won. Yeah, I think, we got to look at the bracket a couple times tonight, and you could maybe be divided on a couple of the different regions on which way they could go. But if you look at this triple threat specifically, you're like, nobody but Dakota Kai should win this, and they rightfully did it.
Yeah, I can't agree with nothing more to say. Dakota Kai won, right move. Mm-hmm. Let's get after it.
Yep.
Then the reason we were here tonight for a lot of people, the New Day 10-year celebration, and we all were thinking Xavier Woods. It's time for him to stab everybody in the back, but Adam Pearce is in the ring. They have this big old New Day promo video or video package, and WWE's production team is what they are. Great, amazing, get the feels going. And then we get to the ring, and it's all New Day'd out. They got big old bootios, pancakes on the ropes,
The
and
bike helmet,
they had
the trombones on the stage.
They had the nickel tag titles out there. It was all New Day'd up. And Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston come out, and they're looking a little hesitant. It's been a little rough patch for them lately. But they get in the ring, and he said, and Pierce congratulates them, but hands them the mic because it's their night. And Woods says, it's your boys, the New Day, and being a part of this for 10 years is more than they could have ever dreamed of. And then Kofi says, it's been a ride. We've achieved it all. And we couldn't do it without each other. And we couldn't do it without you fans. And Woods, then, his demeanor changes. He takes the mic and he goes, with all that said, I hate that we're here to have to tell you something. And he goes, we have nothing but love. And Kofi stops him and goes, we've talked. We both feel that maybe it's time. And Big E's music hits. Great to see him.
Yeah.
Big E.
Yeah, haven't seen him in years in a ring.
Yeah, in a ring at least. Yeah.
Obviously on the post-show, pre-show stuff, but Wade Barry makes a note of it. They haven't seen him in a ring on Raw or SmackDown.
Nope.
Since that injury.
Nope. And he's not happy because it kind of sounds like the New Day's getting a divorce.
Yeah,
Mom and Dad
God, no!
Mom and Dad are breaking up. But Big E comes, he goes, I wish I was here under different circumstances. To see you guys argue like this has troubled my soul. When we started, we were all that we had. We were almost done 10 years ago. And he goes to list how everybody was in shambles 10 years ago. And he goes, you guys were there for me when I broke my neck. He goes, what we built means something to these people. It means a lot to me especially. So until I am cleared, I'm going to remind you who you are by being here every single week to serve as your manager. Happy family.
Mm-hmm.
Big E manager.
Yeah.
Good times for the New Day coming.
Yeah. And it was great to hear Big E on the mic again.
Yeah.
He's got that deep voice, kind of, I think people, in the past, kind of compared him to like being like a reverend, right?
Yeah.
And it's just awesome to hear him. You're like, yeah, manager role. Fantastic.
Yeah,
Sign me up.
Sign me up. And Woods responds by going, now? In a very mean demeanor. He goes, now? Now you want to come back? After watching us almost tear each other apart? He goes, E, you left us. And in a shocking fashion, Kofi Kingston joins in. And Kofi Kingston goes, you left us, E. You broke your neck. So what? Stone Cold broke his neck. Kurt Angle broke his neck. Edge broke his neck. They all came back. You didn't even get surgery on your neck. And Woods falls up and going, we left the light on for you to come back for the past 2 years, and you did nothing for it. And Big E's at this point is just in shock. He's like, I've done everything. I did everything that I could. He's trying to defend himself. And Woods is going, I came back from an Achilles. I actually had surgery, and I came back here in 9 months. You couldn't be back here before that. And Kofi goes, if you cared about us, you would have been here. You chose your new life over us. And Woods goes, you're a burden. Everybody misses E everywhere we go, acting like we don't miss Big E, but you don't care about us. You don't miss us. Kofi says, you chose yourself over us. And Woods says, you will never be cleared. Just get that out right away. You will never be cleared. Why don't you get out of this ring and get back to your desk where you belong? And at this point, Big E is pleading. He doesn't have a mic anymore. He dropped his mic, and you can just hear him talking. He's like, this is how it's over. This is really how it's going to end. This is how it's going to end. And he just is befuddled at this point. And Kofi holds him. He puts his hand on him while Big E's trying to, come and, get a hug or something. And Kofi just, shoving him away. And it's over. It's done. And Big E leaves the ring, and Woods and Kofi, they look at each other and they go, it's just us, bro, and they shake hands. So on the 10-year anniversary of New Day, Kofi turns heel, Woods turns heel. They both turn on Big E. It looks like Woods and Kofi are now found some common ground with each other on hating on this man. This was an insane plot twist with Kofi Kingston being involved, a new era for the New Day. Pop.
Yeah, I'm gonna pop it. Moment of the night. I mean, this was amazing. To have the joyous celebratory mood at the beginning, you're like, yeah, man, New Day's back. And then they start to talk like they're gonna break up, and you hear Big E coming for the save, and you're like, yes, this is the guy that's gonna bring them together, and he's gonna say, you know what, guys, let's keep the New Day together. I mean, Big E brings them together, just not the way that we thought. like, we talk about John Cena turning heel all the time. And we're always like, man, they missed an opportunity. New Day is kind of that same way, I thought. Like, multiple times you could have turned them heel. Multiple times they never have. They've always been there. Woods and Kofi talk about, Angle and Austin and Edge. When they broke their necks, they didn't have people to come back to, but you had people to come back to. Like, we were there for you. And he just didn't care. I mean, this is not something I thought we would get at all. I thought it was going to be Woods or Kofi, probably Woods. But to have them do the common ground, I mean, it goes along with the trend of kind of like, somebody out of the faction, this time 2 out of the 3, turning their back on somebody. I mean, we've seen it a lot, but I never thought we would see that with the New Day. But God, am I excited. It brings some new life to the New Day. Now I'm intrigued. Now I'm interested. Now I want to see what's next.
Yeah, man. I mean, I saw the Xavier Woods turn coming. But the second Kofi Kingston grabbed that mic and he starts cutting Big E down as well, I was like, my jaw dropped. I was like, no, not the boy Kofi, man. Not the boy Kofi. Common ground being that they both hate Big E. That is a plot twist that I don't think anybody could have seen coming. What an interesting take. This leads to them betraying family, so maybe we get Wyatt 6 New Day down the line. Hopefully this sparks a new era for New Day. I would love for this heel New Day to take the belts off of away from Judgment Day. That would be great. So I'm looking forward to this in every single way.
Yeah, I think maybe the tag titles, they probably maybe go to War Raiders again. I know later on Finn talks about the War Raiders saying he doesn't care. And Adam Pearson's like, you're going to care. Maybe we get that. But like I said, some really, I guess kind of much needed life for the New Day kind of injected back into them. Like you said, you mentioned it in the live stream. You could do Wyatt 6. You could somehow have them and Miz and Cross team together some way, somehow. Maybe they take the spot of AOP after their AOP Wyatt match next week. Who knows? I mean, Woods says that Big E's never going to be cleared to return. Right then and there tells me, give me that Big E return. And I don't know who he's going to team with. Frankly, honestly, I don't care.
Yeah.
Because it's going to be so good enough as it is. The 3 of them, I mean, God, this is going to be good stuff.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Speaking of some heel people, we got Karrion Kross cutting a promo, and he basically calls out Wyatt 6 for attacking his wife next week, and he wants to see them in the ring next week. And we're getting an 8-person tag match next week, so Wyatt 6 is going to be back in the ring. Looking forward to it.
Mm-hmm.
But then we get Dom versus Gunther.
Yeah.
The match.
The match of all matches.
Blessed.
This is better than the first Shawn Michaels Undertaker match.
This is the greatest match of all time.
Yeah. Yeah, you remember when Edge and Orton were like, greatest match of all time at that one random backlash?
It was like 80 minutes long.
Yeah. This was it.
Yeah.
This was how you book a match.
You know what? Dom started and he wasn't scared. And Gunther walked out and he was cut in his chest. He was already bleeding for some reason. Don't know what happened there. I don't remember that happened at Survivor Series. But Dom attacks it right away with some smacks. And of course, Gunther doesn't like getting smacked. So he smacks him back, but harder.
Yeah.
This match was also dominated by a good old picture-in-picture where Gunther had he had the upper hand most of the time during the picture-in-picture commercial break with big chops and power slams, all the good stuff.
And it's kind of noted, too, that when Dom hits Gunther in that first one, it busts that, whatever that cut is, it busts that.
He's bleeding, yeah. But we get back from commercial, and Gunther's got the Boston Crab locked in on Mr. Dom, and he's dominating to the point where Gunther gives Dom a shimmy. He gives him the old Guerrero shimmy, and I'm like, this is some good Gunther. I like this guy. But Gunther puts him in a sleeper, and when he puts Dom in a sleeper, he's still on his feet, and Dom is Eddie's son. And so he goes over, and he's like reaching for the ref, and he ends up putting the ref in the corner to where the ref's kind of like not watching the match. And of course, that means Dirty Dom's got an open shot to give Gunther a good old nut tap with his leg. Kicks him right in the nuts. And when that happens, Gunther kind of falls against the ropes. He's standing there, and Dom comes over and 619s his belly. And then Gunther falls into another rope, and he 619s Gunther there. Hits a frog splash, and we're all sitting here like, holy hell.
Screaming at the TV in this
1,
fight.
2, ooh. Doesn't happen.
Son of a gun.
Gunther kicks out.
Give him your best shot, Dom.
And Gunther gets pissed. And he just starts chopping and kicking this man. And then he picks Dom up and does one of the nastiest power slams. I mean, power bombs the hell through Dom. Puts a dent in the mat. 1, 2, 3. He pins him. But Mr. Finn Balor's there to give him a good old sling blade right away. Kicks him into the corner. Hits a coup de grace. Looks at Dom and says, watch and learn, kid. Hits another coup de grace. And then hits another coup de grace.
This man's Bronson Reed.
Yeah, and Finn looks at Dom and goes, hope you learned a lesson, Dom. Walks out of there. We do get confirmation later that Adam Pearce has booked it. That is going to be Finn Balor versus Gunther at Saturday night's main event. But I'm thinking at this point, we may get a dirty Dom interference, man. Finn's talking that trash on Dom. I think that might come into play. This all was pop, by the way.
Yeah, I'm going to pop it as well. As for the match itself, I guess I'll do that first. We talked about it during the match. Like, Dom can sell up there with anybody. It is important to note one thing that you did not mention. Throughout this match, Dirty Dom is getting chants in the crowd.
Dirty Dom. Dirty Dom.
He's getting those chants. He acts like Eddie with the low blow. People are loving Dom.
People are seeing the lights.
We're starting to get a little bit of that crowd action behind Dom. We're getting it. I couldn't be happier. He could be a tweener, but the people are finally giving Dom what he deserves. Important to note. As for the Finn Gunther stuff, I guess good for him. He gets a match. Cool. I'm kind of like, I don't know, with the world heavyweight title, like with Gunther having that title, we know Gunther's not going to lose it at any time. They haven't made me think that Finn's going to do anything. A lot of time, or I guess not really a lot of time. There's one more Raw before Saturday night's main event. So maybe depending on what happens on Raw next week, maybe you do get that Dom turn. I'm thinking maybe it's a little bit too soon. Maybe you get Gunther just beating Finn, and maybe Finn gets pissed off or something, and that's how you go. I don't know.
I think we may get an accidental Dom cost in some way, shape, or form. Maybe Finn keeps doing this whole watch and learn thing with Dom. And he invites Dom out to ringside for his championship match, right? Like, I'm going to teach you how to be a champion tonight type deal. And he's disrespecting Dom, and then Dom accidentally in one way or another costs Finn the shot at the belt there, and then we get the Finn Dom stuff, and maybe you can continue off that, and then you can have the Judgment Day split, and then you have Damian and Finn, and it kind of just rolls into each other, and then you get the Dom face turn.
I think that is a really good point. You could get the accidental where Finn is just pissed. And then Adam Pearce in that same promo does say, we'll talk to you about when to defend your tag titles. Having defend, like, you did defend those, but it's been twice in however many days. So maybe then you get the legitimate one from Dom at that point. You have Dom go out there and screw him again. Maybe you set that up.
Yeah, I'm all for it.
And then they come back with the Priest return. Boom, ba, bing. Book it.
Dom wins all championship. That's how it should end. I am going to skip over and I'll drop at the same time. I'm not really... Pete Dunne and R-Truth had a match. And it was a Pete Dunne squash match until the crowd started yelling Butch, and then he got rolled up by R-Truth. That's really all that was. I don't think there's any good stuff going for the Pete Dunne story right now. I'm just going to go ahead and drop that right away.
Yeah, I'm going to drop it. It's tough seeing Pete Dunne not too long ago getting some sort of respect, at least from the Sheamus side of things, that feud that he had with Sheamus. And now you have this. It's just like, if you're going to do this to him, I would just rather him be off screen.
Also, we would get a quick Braun segment, and Ludwig would show up saying that while he did, in fact, lose the match, he broke Sheamus's ribs with the shillelagh, and it was a rib for a rib because Sheamus broke Ludwig's ribs a couple weeks ago. And so he now wants a clear shot at Braun Breaker's title, IC title. And so it looks like we're going to be getting a continuation of that, Braun and Ludwig, which I am here to watch that 1,000 times out of 1,000 times. So excited to see that continuing.
Yeah, you could sign me up for that. And then one last thing on the Pete Dunne thing. Right before the match, he is cutting a promo backstage where he's saying something along the lines of, like, don't call me Butch, da-da-da. And then you hear people running back.
Yep.
Jey Uso has been attacked backstage. He is somewhat awake. Like, he's not knocked out.
Yeah, say who attacked you, bro.
That was my thing. You're kind of somewhat there. He's got hit in the back of the head with a pipe, I assume. Nobody knows who attacked him. They're trying to ask him. He gets taken to medical for evaluation. But that's a big note in the night because you're like, who attacked Jey?
Yep.
You could just ask him. I don't know why he can't just say a name.
Yeah.
Usually when they're awake, they're just like, it was
Solo.
Yeah, it's something.
Anyway, it was main event time after this attacking.
But not Jey Uso main event.
No, not Jey Uso main event. He wouldn't main event. But Sami Zayn, on his way to the ring, yells at Adam Pearce, who attacked him, who attacked him, who attacked him. Pearce doesn't know. And and then Sammy's like, no, I know who it was, and I'm about to go fight him right now. So we have Sami Zayn taking on Seth Rollins in our main event, and they get scrappy right away. But we look at our watch, and there's like 11 minutes left in the show, and we get ourselves a good old picture-in-picture commercial break for like 4.5 minutes of this match.
It was a long picture. Yeah. It was like 4.5, 5 minutes. It was half of the match. I was like, Jesus Christ, what are we doing?
They were mad as hell, beating the hell out of each other. When we came back from break, Rollins was dominating, and he would go for a pedigree, but Sami Zayn would reverse it into a blue thunder bomb. And of course, he got a 3 count after it. No, he didn't. That move sucks.
I was going to say that move sucks. It doesn't fit anybody.
It is cool, though. It's a cool move to see.
It's a cool signature.
Yeah. But Sammy would do an exploder into the corner and go back and load up for a Luva kick, but Rollins would meet him with a super kick, and he'd go and miss the stomp, and Sammy would roll out of the ring, and that's when all the good stuff happens. So they get out of the ring, and they start yelling at each other. And Sammy, Sammy's like, I know it was you. And Seth's just kind of like, what are you talking about? What do you mean? We talking about?
I have no idea what you're talking about, Sammy.
And Seth's kind of yelling about CM Punk as well. Like, why'd you team with him? But Sammy's just all about what happened to Jay.
He's also yelling about Roman.
Yeah,
like how you need to use your. Seth throughout this whole match kept saying like, use your brain.
Yeah, use your brain. Yeah, use your brain. Use your brain. Use your brain. And he said that, and then he decided to try to blow up his brain because he threw him head first into the post. Like, that's not how you can't make them use your brain if you do that.
Yeah, it's scrambled and can't use it.
Scrambled brain. But then he clotheslines him over the barricade, and we're getting all this good stuff until Sammy eventually pops up, and I think he kicks him in the gut. But Seth Rollins rolls into the ring, and Sammy is just livid at this point. And he goes over and he grabs a chair, and he starts to come into the ring and load it up like he's going to hit Seth Rollins. And he's like, I know what you did. You attacked Jay. And at this point, Seth finally hears him. He's like, "Wait, I didn't attack Jay. What are you talking about, man?" He's like, "I wouldn't do that. You know me. I would not do that." And Sammy kind of comes to the realization that he's probably right. He goes over and throws a chair out of the ring, but Seth Rollins rolls him up while he's throwing the chair out. 1, 2, 3. We get a roll-up win for Seth Rollins here.
So you got to be kidding me.
After the match, Rollins gets up and says, it wasn't me. And then he says, yeah, use your brain. You need to start using your brain. And he leaves the ring. We're all sitting there like, that's the end of Raw. Roll-up? But Sami Zayn turns around and eats a Claymore kick from a returning Drew McIntyre, who's standing in the middle of the ring looking down. It looks like Drew may have been the one to attack Jey Uso, but who was the one to attack Drew? Was it or Jay? Was it him? I don't know. Either way, this was all good. I hated the roll-up, but the Claymore at the end really did it for me, and I like the story beats throughout the match, so I'm popping.
Yeah, I'm going to pop this as well. If Drew does not come back, it's a draw.
Yeah.
First and foremost, I mean, miss Drew McIntyre on the screen.
Yeah.
Missed him. It's crazy the impact that he has. Like, I was thinking about it the other day. I was like, man, I haven't really thought about him because we've had so much good stuff. But then he enters the screen and you're like, damn, Drew McIntyre. Him doing the Claymore to Sammy, I think he attacks Jay as well. I think somebody had noted in our live stream that Drew teamed up with Judgment Day versus the OG Bloodline. So Drew does not like any of them. So he's attacking Jay. He's attacking Sammy. I assume he's attacking everybody to get to Punk. Which would not be like, I thought that feud was done, I guess. But I don't know why else he would be picking off those members. Unless, actually, I just thought of this. Unless now they're pivoting with Bloodline 2.0, they need somebody to take Bronson Reed's spot. Does he go in there?
No, he won't.
Just leave it like
he
that?
won't be a Bloodline member. No, I don't know. I don't know because I don't think they're going to continue the CM Punk Drew McIntyre thing. So I don't know if Drew's going to be the one to actually attack. But then again, like, why would you attack Sami Zayn? I don't know if he's picking off Jay and Sammy and each Bloodline member because it doesn't. He got taken out by Punk. I don't know. I'm kind of stumbled by it. Hopefully they're not. I hope that's not the case. I hope he's not attacking members to get to Punk because that was such a beautiful bow wrapped on that feud that I think that we would just be dragging something out here, beating a dead horse if he comes back just for that. But he definitely looks like suspect number one when he decides to claim more kick Sami Zayn.
What if he isn't done with Punk? So he's going after Punk, but you also have Rollins after Punk. You get some sort of like triple threat feud.
I still don't want CM Punk involved in it.
So you would rather just have, well, I mean, I don't know what you do with Punk. I mean, I guess Rollins and Punk, but it doesn't make sense for Drew to keep attacking these people, or I guess attacking tonight if he does attack Jay. That's the question. I don't really know how you kind of finagle him in there.
I just hope it's not going after Punk because I think the feud was so perfect. I just don't think that needs to be rehashed. And I would much rather get on to the CM Punk Seth Rollins feud if we're going to have these core people be a part of it. So I really have no idea when it comes to the Drew McIntyre stuff. All I know is that he's back and I couldn't be happier because dude is an absolute superstar. And the second he claimed more kicks, all of us smiled like, yep, it'll be awesome.
Or maybe, I'm just keep throwing ideas out there. Maybe it's not to go after Punk. Maybe he wants to go after Rollins, I guess, because Jay and Sammy are cool with Seth. So maybe he attacks them. Maybe Seth sticks up for Sammy next week or something. I don't know, because we haven't had that part either.
I have no idea.
I have literally no clue.
The more I'm thinking about it, the more like jumbled my mind gets. Yeah, because WWE's been so hell bent on their long-term storytelling that I'm sitting here like, okay, well, what happened months ago? And what can happen from him attacking Sammy? Why Sammy? None of it really makes sense unless it's just Punk, and hopefully it's not that simple of a story thread to me because I keep saying I don't want Drew and Punk to go back.
Yeah, and I think I would agree with that as well. I mean, that seems like the likely thing based off of the only thing we've seen so far, but it is still very early. But like you said, I think that Punk Drew was wrapped around with a nice, neat bow. That was fantastic. You don't need to rehash that. So maybe it's Rollins in it. I don't know. Who knows? But it's going to be good.
Gonna be good.
You can put anything. You can put Drew McIntyre in anything this year.
Yep.
2024, and it's going to be fantastic.
Anyway, pops all the way around for us. 12 pops to only 2 drops, and the 2 drops are a very small Pete Dunne segment that you don't need to really.
About a minute 53. I timed it.
Yeah, you timed it. You really timed it. But thank you all for coming to the live stream tonight. If you did, if you didn't catch us on Friday, we'll be doing it for a watch along for SmackDown, and then of course Raw, SmackDown next week, and then Saturday night's main event. We did our very first one today. It went really well. Happy to be there. Twitch.com/COD Speaking of that, at COD WrestlePod on all of our socials. And if you want to get to our socials, we have a link tree in our bio, and it's got all of them listed for you, including our Discord if you want to come talk to us. So hit all that stuff. Come follow, subscribe, comment, like. We love talking to you guys in any form. So until next time, though, I'm Will. That's Brandon. We are the Cousins of Destruction Wrestling Podcast, and we will see you next time.